Sponsored by.
Hello, welcome to Table Talk. I am your host and sponsor, Dr. Joy Brown, the CEO of 3E Consulting, and I'm a coach who educates, equips, and empowers clients to discover their passion and prepare for their next opportunity. At Table Talk, we bring honest conversations with industry experts to give you firsthand insight into their career fields. And I'm so excited that you have joined us tonight for our conversation on career readiness, thriving through change and not reacting to it. I'm going to say it again. We are going to thrive through the change and not react to it. So today we are planning to do a deep dive into what really means to stay ready in a world that is constantly changing overnight. And as many professionals are heading back to work, they're getting set back into their familiar routines. It's easy to become comfortable. But we want to make sure that you are able to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And we will discuss practical strategies that will keep your skills sharp and help you adapt in this constant change. So let's introduce our panelists for tonight, starting with Simone.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Simone Pemberton. I am the founder of ProWorks Career Services. I'm a certified coach, and I am excited to be here, and I will pass it on to Sequoia.
Hi, I am Sequoia LeBlanc. I am a recruitment consultant for a law center currently and former federal government employee in the HR space for almost 9 years. Glad to be here.
All right. Well, thanks so much. So, ladies, let's just dive right into having our conversation. If we think back of 2025, we have all went through definitely how to navigate some employment change, and we've seen a lot in just 11 months because it's just the 12th month of the year. And so tonight, as we talk about how do we thrive through change and how do we stay ready so we don't have to get ready. So the first thing when I started thinking about this topic was I think we started needing to think that our career is like a business and we need to become CEOs. And what I mean by that is you got to have a CEO mindset, which means I need to be constantly thinking about and reassessing my career goals quarterly, tracking my successes. Where do I want to be? And really evaluating the role and all of the constant change. So you got to treat your career like a business because you are the author of your faith as well as your career, and you are the advocate. So if you think like a CEO and figure out where do I want to be, how do I get there, I think that's so important. Simone, do you have something else that you want to add as a strategy?
Absolutely. So, last time we did our podcast, we talked about my favorite thing, right? Upskilling, reskilling,
Mhm.
right? And so I don't know if y'all have read or listen because I have to listen to books because I fall asleep. So I'm listening to two books and I finished So Good They Can't Ignore You by Cal Newport or and now I'm listening to Designing Your Work Life by Bill Burnett and Dave Evans. Have y'all heard of these books?
No, I haven't.
I
Oh,
have not.
wow.
This is my first
Okay.
time.
Well, they're career oriented books, and
Mhm.
it's helping me build out a specific program. But anyway, the point is, I've taken like some really good nuggets out of there. And the thing about why I mentioned upskilling and reskilling from last
Mhm.
time, they talk about it as well. And it's all about skill building, right? Because we're comfortable, we're back, back at work doing kind of the same thing or waiting to see what we're going to do
Mhm.
and we need to be a CEO, right? But it's all about being intentional and being strategic.
Mhm.
And we need to be building those skills, but we need to be actually, they talk about dedicated practice. And
Mhm.
so, say I have a data analytics portfolio, which I do.
Mhm.
Things are on hold right now, but like I should be creating opportunities for myself to be able to stay on top of those skills.
Mhm.
So we can't be waiting around for our jobs or life to give us opportunities to grow certain skills that we need to be able to progress. We need to find ways to get them ourselves. And so, last time we talked about all the different platforms that you can do that. And it's simple projects. Like if I'm at work, I'm like, okay, I need to stay on top of Power BI because Power BI is if you forget it for 2 months, I feel like
Mhm.
it just goes away. And so I'm having to go in there and look behind the scenes and look at my data and just be intentional about, okay, let me go in here and try to do a little bit of, refinement in my dashboards, things like that. And so I think creating opportunity for ourselves to actually grow these skills is what's important because we could sit and twiddle our thumbs all day, but it's not going to get us anywhere, right?
Mhm.
And then some of us have very niche, very, very niche jobs, right? And at least in my opinion, I was like, the universe is kind of pushing us out to do
Mhm.
some different things. Or we may want to do some different things,
Mhm.
right? But if we don't have the broader skills that are a bit more marketable,
Mhm.
it's going to be harder for us to pivot or to adjust to being pushed out. So I think just getting those broader skills and making intentional opportunities is a really great strategy. So, and they can be small things. I mean, just get in Excel and do some stuff at home.
Oh,
Mhm.
I think that's excellent. I know recently, like I said, I've always done a lot of stuff with data. And then I had to do this massive staffing plan a couple of weeks ago. And I was like, I've got to figure this out. But I know somebody who's really savvy at Excel. So she showed me, I was doing a little couple of pivot tables. Because I always say my two best friends, and now I got three, is Google and YouTube, right? Free.
Yeah.
Because
Hmm.
you can learn anything off of Google and YouTube. So
Hmm.
I Googled how to do a simple pivot table. And then when I asked my colleague, hey, can you show me how to do, she showed me something off of a pivot table. I was, oh my God. I was like, she showed me like a quick formula, a quick thing. I was like, oh my God, you'd have thought I like hit the $1 million. But it was such a like eye opening. And I was
Yeah.
up, I'm savvy with it now. So then I started sharing others. So I love how you said it's creating those opportunities and keeping your skill sets up, which is really great. So your Power BI, definitely now we know the AI is really moving
Oh,
in a
yes.
different sphere. Now it's coming into, the federal space. It's definitely in the private sector. And, we have it now on your phone, but it's utilizing how are you utilizing those tools to be a resource to you, not to think for you, but to be a resource to you. So I love all of it, as well as free training. There's a lot of great courses, free training that people can be taking. I always say Canva was the best thing. Now, you'd have thought I was a graphics designer, hint, hint.
Hmm.
But guess what? I know how to do a lot of stuff with Canva and I'm learning more. So I have a new skill set that I can be doing. Oh, I can design that for you at work. I have a little PowerPoint skills and little graphics skills to bring your PowerPoints and your graphics design, make it pop on some programs that we're doing, talking about marketing. These are all great skills that are transferable. So I love that how we talk about seizing those opportunities.
Yeah.
The other thing we talked about when you talk about reskilling is the importance of updating, your resume, your bio, your LinkedIn, all of that. And so we don't want you to wait for the crisis to hit because that's going to be too late. Oh my God, I need a new job. You have not touched your resume. You don't even know what your LinkedIn look like. And so again, we say we want you to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And so think about again, remember you the CEO. That means I know where I'm going. I know what I'm brushing up on my skills. What have I accomplished over the last year, the last 60 days? What is my goals that I want to accomplish and making plans to achieve them? We talked about new skilling, learning a certification, achievements. All of that is going to be important. If your resume stays ready, that could equal what? A new opportunity.
Hmm.
I think that's great.
Mhm.
I think that's great. So, Sequoia, you have a great story because you have one that, again, was in the government. And with all of this change, you made a shift. And so we definitely were excited to have you on tonight because sometimes they may think of, well, Dr. Joy and Simone, they're coaches, they work with clients, but you are living, breathing of somebody who took what? A leap of faith, who took a change. And so share your story with us.
Well, I'm happy to do so. I mean, to be honest, it's really piggybacking a little bit already on what Simone has already spoken about, and even what you have already stated, because it's about staying marketable, being able to say, these are the duties that I perform, but they're not just duties I do on the daily. How can I translate that, excuse me, from physical into actual written information for whomever's looking at my resume or my portfolio? So my story is I had been in the same HR field, I would say. With the government human resources, it's very niche. Simone stated that that can sometimes be the case. And so for me, for staying marketable, even within the government, I had been fortunate to work at multiple agencies because I always kept my resume up to date. As soon as I took on a new skill, I was sure to go back to my resume, add that information, make it come off the page in a sense to where the new hiring manager or the new recruiter or staffer, whomever that may have been reviewing it, could see, oh, this candidate, she brings all this and more to the table. Anytime I would go and I know we've already talked about adding skills, volunteering for things to, get trained up on. I was always a good volunteer. Now, I do not recommend taking on a lot on your plate if you know that you can't support it, or if in some cases, if you're uncompensated, some of these things have to be considered before you take on additional duties. But for me, I don't look at anything as something that is kind of a poor investment. If I sign up for something, I know that I can utilize that to invest in myself, which in turn can capitalize, more or opportunities, excuse me, for myself in the future. So that those are some of the things I would do. I would learn a new system, whatever is being assigned to the team, probably the first person to learn it, so I can become a subject matter expert. Beyond that, I stayed very up to date on my craft. In the government space, I was able to be up to date on changing policy, changing laws in the HR space as a staffer and things of that nature. So for me, I made sure to keep myself marketable, competitive, especially in this industry, no matter if I stay within government and I move through agencies or like right now, I've decided to pivot to the private sector and try something very new for myself. But the reason why I was able to grab this opportunity, I was staying ready. As we've already talked about, I was able to refine my resume during some of the, little bits of uncertainty here and there. And I was able to come off that page. And when I got contacted by the hiring manager directly for this role, it was my experience and my progression of my experience that she was able to actually capture throughout my resume. That was only listed as 2 pages. Now, in government space, we were told for years more
Mm-hmm.
than 2 pages.
Mm-hmm.
More, recently that's
Mm-hmm.
changing to shrink back to the standardized 2 pages
Two
that
pages.
we hear about. And in some cases, we hear private sector folks say
Mm-hmm.
1 page, right? But with government, it's years of experience we like to
Mm-hmm.
elaborate on. So I'm very fortunate that I was able to capture my story in the 2 pager space, and I still was able to communicate how I'm marketable, how I am going to add to the team with my recruitment background. So I've been in recruitment, staffing, I've touched learning and development, I've also touched employee relations. Being able to kind of get on different teams and understand the subject matter, that helped me over my entire career. And it's going to help me now because I'm able to learn new things very quickly. And so I'm learning new systems, I'm learning new policies, and I've also been able to work in a unionized space. So in my HR field, I've worked with different CBAs, and that made me very marketable to
Mm-hmm.
where in this current role, I'll be working with that as well. So just a lot of information, I'm sure, but that's a little bit of my background, my story, and how I was able to pivot out of my comfort zone into something that still feels like the best fit for me currently, but I'm able to capitalize on my previous experience and get more in the private sector and stay marketable.
All right. Well, no, thank you so much. You said a couple of things. One, you said again, let's go back because we're going to play that
Yes.
back. You said a couple of things to help you remember CEO mindset. Like when she learned something, what did she do? She updated her resume. So that's the other thing. Because remember, we do a lot of stuff on our day to day and we forget. Sometimes people don't write their accomplishments. And then you be like, oh my God, what do I have to do? So I definitely commend you that you were always thinking about the great impact. And then, as we know, those who are in the government, we used to have these 5 pages, these long resumes, but now everything is what in 2 pages, right? It's your skills based resume. So it's thinking about what are those impactful things that you've done. So you mentioned staffing, you mentioned policy, you were in work groups, you did union stuff, all of that. You, is on probably is on her 2 pages, which speaks to her skill set, her systems work, and how she was, and all those transferable skills landed her into a private sector job. And so those are a couple of things and everything. Simone, did you want to just follow up with something that Sequoia said? That's great
Yeah.
strategies.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I love it. I love it
Mhm.
all. It was a well, one, congratulations
I know.
on the
Thank
new
Yes.
you.
role. That's really exciting. And so before because it made me think about a different strategy, but I
Mhm.
love when you said, um, you loved volunteering, right? You
Mm.
volunteered for those extra projects,
Mhm.
those additional initiatives, and I think, and I've done that, and I find them to be one, you build new skills, right? And
Mhm.
you become more visible within your organization, and people get to see you as a leader or whatever, a SME, whatever it is, right? And I think those are just really great opportunities. Um, and so it ties back to the creating opportunities
Mhm.
to grow,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And to build the different skills. And so the other thing, so I'm relating it back to the book, these books I keep reading because I listen to them on my walks with my dog and my drives into work. And so they're embedded in my brain now. But it talks about having a growth mindset in a
Mhm.
way about not just growing skills, because like, yes, we understand that, but like being able to be comfortable taking on something new, right? So
Yeah.
you wanted to develop new skills. You found new opportunities. You wanted to try something new. When you try something new, you might not be that great at first, right? And then we get better and better and better. And I think we just have to be comfortable with, hey, we might need to try something new,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And then you were actually able to pivot into a new role that's going to stretch you and grow you, but also use the skills that you built up. And I
Yeah.
love that because all three of us are in the HR world, and I'm currently in workforce development. And I, it just shows like, yes, you can stay in your field, but you can grow
Mhm.
in the field. Like you can do a whole bunch of different things. You did staffing, you did, learning development, you did a whole bunch of different things. And so, because you were like, oh, HR can be niche, if you stay in one little lane in
Mhm.
HR, absolutely. But I mean, if you branch off, we can do so many different things. So I absolutely love that. You took the initiative,
Mhm.
and it paid off, right? Like you were able to pivot successfully, and I hope it's going smooth. So
It's going amazing. That's why I'm
good.
on travel right now,
There we
All
go.
right.
attending this. And I'm so happy to be here. And just to kind of echo more of like what you're saying, being open to
Yeah.
change. I
Mhm.
feel as though that is what limits folks in general. It doesn't matter what career field, because you're so used to the same routine.
Mhm.
Sometimes, like let's say a system gets upgraded, you're using one thing, and then tomorrow they say, here's a rollout of a completely new, and like in our field, let's say personnel system
Mhm.
or applicant tracking system. You're sitting there like, who is going to teach who to use what? Because I've been using X, Y, or Z
Mhm.
for 1,000 years, and I've heard so many of those similar conversations where things are continuing to be rolled out. We're going through changes just in general, everybody right now. So you have to be open to what the change means for you. That can mean, volunteering for additional
Mhm.
responsibilities, duties, etc. Or that can look like, hey, here's this rollout. I don't want to volunteer, but let me stay open to learning what this is from whomever they've assigned as the SME or what have you. And I just also wanted to state, that growth mindset. I focus on the things that I can control. And so
Yes.
sometimes that is a positive. But in my case, sometimes it's a negative because sometimes if I'm uncertain, I like to find where I can control something.
Mhm.
That goes back to my facilitator days, doing have 7 habits of highly effective people.
Mhm.
And we used to talk about your circle of concern
Mhm.
versus your circle of influence. And so for me, I like to be a light for myself, but also for my folks around me to say, y'all, you can control your
Mhm.
next steps. Somebody may make you feel like you can't, but you have that choice. You can step out on faith and just say, I'm open to what the universe or whomever can bring to me. And so that's kind of, again, that might be a little deeper, but that's kind of how I approach my career as well and say, well, stay open. If you stay closed off, you may not see those opportunities coming to you that could be a positive, use as an investment,
Mhm.
for your career because careers tend to be multifaceted. They're
Mhm.
not just streamlined. You don't have to be at the same company forever.
Mhm.
You really can grow outside of those restraints, like you said, Simone. So I just was hearing you. I'm like, Growth mindset, growth mindset. Yes.
Oh, I just love that. And you said a couple of things that I want us to just stay right there because it was so
Hmm.
on point. So one thing is about being open. I love that, your growth mindset. And remember, our topic is what career readiness. How do you thrive through change? But
Yep.
you thrive through change because, like you said, figuring out what you can control. And so we see that the change is happening, but it's how we look at that change and what is our sphere of influence and what decisions. And so I love that how you said we a great example. We getting a new system, right? Look at this, be like, okay, we're getting a new system. Well, hey, is there a possibility I could be a part of the work group? That's that volunteers when you said you raised your hand. I was like that too. I was the student who raised my hand. Everybody knew my name. When I finished up, I was like, what else can I do? But again, I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't raise my hand. And someone always told me going the extra mile is never crowded, right? Going the extra mile on that road of going above and beyond, it's never going to be crowded. Why? Because most people don't do that. But again, if you look at them being able to be open, taking that initiative, being open to growth, you never know. And so volunteering, again, diversifying your network. So that's that volunteerism. That's being open. I love that what you said. And like I said, understanding that, hey, maybe I can be open. Maybe this could be an opportunity for change and seeing what happens. But you got to be open. You can't be like, oh my God, this is not going to work. And just no, because yes, we understand change will happen. Change is here. It's not going anywhere. It's going to happen today. And we know change is inevitable, right? It's like life.
It's the only
It's
constant.
Yeah.
always constant, but
Yeah.
how you deal with it, I think in this space is important. So when we say, how do you thrive through the change? We want you to have that growth mindset. We want you to, be mindful of your thoughts and stuff like that and all of
Mm.
that. Like you said, that doubt to come in and be like, wait a minute. We understand. So what role can when I see? Is there an opportunity for me to see? Is this something that I can learn? Is this maybe that's a new marketable skill? Maybe I can train others on this new thing. Maybe I can be a part of the work group that can help lead the change or be a part of the group that talks about it because I'm not in the room, but maybe it's an opportunity for me to be in the room to think about the people. How are we going to implement this new system? All of those are opportunities of growth.
Yeah, 100%.
That that made me think of
Mm-hmm.
something as y'all were talking, and I think Dr. Joy, you mentioned like having the right mindset, right? And because right now it's easy to be negative,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's easy to go down the rabbit hole and
Mm-hmm.
stay down there and dwell. Um, but kind of reframing things because a lot of people are job searching, still job
Mm-hmm.
searching. A lot of people got laid off. Um, or a lot of people are in jobs that they're just like, this is not what I want to do, right? I
Mm-hmm.
feel stuck. And that's a hard pill to swallow as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think reframing, I have a little sticky in my office and it says something along the lines of this season is not permanent, it's purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about just kind of reframing situations like you're not stuck at this job. It's providing the stability that you need so that you can then pivot into doing what you would like to do or move
Mm-hmm.
it into the next role, right? So that you're not, you know, I had a client and she said she likes to move out of kind of desperation, right? She's like, oh, I hate this job. Let me go get me another job, right? And she's like, well, hold on, maybe I should wait and just
Mm-hmm.
think about what do I actually want to do? What do I like to do, right?
Yes.
And so kind of reframing things so that we aren't so in the I love to say rabbit hole, in that rabbit hole and
Mm-hmm.
just be, this is going to serve me. This is good enough for now. The book talks about that too. It's like, this is good enough for now though. Like I know I have a bigger goal. I know I will achieve that goal, but I need to be content with where things are right now. And yes, one of you all said something else really great. Um, Oh, volunteering,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Joy, and because Sequoia, you were talking about on the job, right?
Yeah.
Volunteering for these different projects and how it builds skills and how it gets you more visible in front of leadership and stuff. But like volunteering, if you are job searching, we talked about that last time. It's
Mm-hmm.
like if there's something that you'd like to do, volunteering or freelancing is always a great way. You're
Mm-hmm.
keeping up on those skills. Like you said, you don't know where the next opportunity may come from.
Mm-hmm.
You're volunteering, people are seeing you do big things, and you're doing it for free. for the call for the mission, and they'd be like, oh, okay, well, I like them. They did a great job on this. Like, I would love to have them on my team. I think these are just things, you don't think about it. You're just like, oh, I just feel like doing something good, getting out of the house, staying productive, but you never know where it could lead. And so I was like, oh, yeah, that could help whether you're job searching or
Mhm.
whether you're kind of in your job trying to move up in the organization. So,
And
yeah.
and you said some key things, Simone, like it is really tough if you fall into a pit. And I
Mhm.
think I normally, when I fall into those places, I tend to be a very positive presenting person. I've always been a person who influences a team, et cetera. Like, oh, Sequoia, you're always smiling, but there are times I'm not. I'm in a hole. I'm trying to figure out what are my next steps, especially if I'm feeling negative about a situation. I feel like there may be no end in sight. So sometimes my answer has been staying busy. That's why I do like to ask for additional duties. Or in your case, or not in case, but your example, Simone, if someone's not working right now and they may feel like they're in a hole or they're not sure what their next step is going to look like you stated, they could go out there right now and go find a volunteer opportunity if one's
Mhm.
available. And that could really help them. But it also doesn't have to be in their same field that they're used to.
Mhm.
9 times out of 10 with a volunteer role, they're looking sometimes to just not necessarily take anybody, but you may not need to meet any minimum qualifications.
Mhm.
You may not have to have an education requirement. You can kind of just step in the door, learn something brand spanking new, and now you've been able to pivot. So I really, really like that you stated that because some people may not feel that they have the next step figured out. And that is kind of what the career and life are all about. You may
Mhm.
not have a clear trajectory, or the trajectory you thought you had
Right.
may not turn out as such. I mean, we're going through that right now. I know
Mhm.
1,000 people told me I go into the federal government. It's probably one of the most stable career paths I'll ever get in my life. And as we see, it's kind of starting to look a little bit more private sectorish, et cetera. Things are changing. It's not to say 100% bad. It's not to say 100% good. It's just a change. And so I feel as though, again, staying ready to pivot and change. That's going to just help in all aspects. So, again, I just really like that you said that because some folks, they don't really know what that next step is, but you just kind of have to, figure things out on the
Mhm.
go. And like you said, if it's okay for now, you can still be working towards those future goals. It doesn't have to happen today, but you can still have a plan. You can still figure out how you can get through the situation now to get to the later. So,
No, I love that. And I love big on the volunteering. And not only that, when we talk about your network, because we talked about that last time, I
Mhm.
think in order to you to stay ready so you don't have to get ready, is who is in your network. And so your network could be, again, if you are volunteering at, your community, your church, your sorority, your fraternity, all these ways, right, is experience. Because one thing about it, we know in the federal government, we're all in HR. Experience was experience, right? We know
yep.
on them resumes, we were looking for them 52 weeks, and it was an experience where you were the Boy Scout mom or the soccer mom or the soccer dad and the coach or the referee. You were gaining experience, or you were the treasurer, or you were on the HOA, or you were in a nonprofit and you were leading a program. All of that was experience that was transferable that you can relate to it depending on your job or an interview question. So I think it's all of that when you talk about the volunteering, and maybe again, you just never know what opportunity. So when you talk about your network, you never know who's going to be in that network, who's ever going to see you. Someone always said, someone's always watching you. That's true. And you're interviewing every day and you don't even know it. And I don't want to talk about interview for a job, but people are watching how you show up, which is my other, Simone, like me, I'm a quoter. So I got lots of quotes. And so how you show up is important. How you show up in a room, in a meeting, to maybe like, I see Sequoia. I may ask Sequoia, I got this upcoming project. Would love for you to be on my team. But if Sequoia comes into the room, she's on the phone, she's not very, there's no follow through, she's disorganized. Uh, no, I don't know if we're going to be asking Sequoia to join this team because Sequoia's not showing up. And so it's how you're showing up. But you, again, you never know when we talk about seizing those opportunities and moments, right?
Mhm.
And especially in this space, because networking is key. Because as you are looking for opportunities, your next opportunity can be from somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that you're not even in the room, but your name is in a room that you're not even there, which I think is important.
Mhm.
Very, very. And I know right now, like there's of course like LinkedIn, et cetera. Those are not where LinkedIn is really normally the one that you hear the most about how
Mhm,
to network, et cetera. But of course, just kind of that regular in person, like if there are networking events, like I know for me, I am based in the Atlanta area. They tend to have a lot of those young professional, seasoned professional, everything in between meetups. And so there's been times I've wanted to do that. I've gone and tried to just really rub elbows with as many people as possible,
mhm,
like you stated, because sometimes on LinkedIn, it's virtual. People don't really get to know the true essence of you.
mhm,
But it's still a great platform to use to extend that network. And then also, again, any opportunity that you get,
mhm,
like you said, you're interviewing pretty much every time you meet
mhm,
someone. But it's really nice to get to know folks, especially if, let's say, you wanted to stay in the human resources
mhm,
space. Well, maybe you want to pivot into employee relations, but you've
mhm,
been in staffing the entire time. Now you've met someone that is an in into that side of HR. They may even be open to, getting you up to speed on some of the
mhm,
things that they do. You can get to know more about the role. So you, excuse me, so you can make more plans for
mhm,
if you really want to pivot, like you were saying, or it's either you or Simone. One of you guys said, maybe you don't really exactly know what you want to do.
mhm.
So this will be that time to figure it out with that networking.
I would love that, love that, love that, love that. As well as the opportunity, like you said, to maybe birth some new businesses, new skills, as we talk about. Like I said, that freelance, LinkedIn is great, social media is great. We have all seen in this world the power of the social media. Before a couple of years ago, we didn't have this word called influencers. Right? And then
No.
you be like, influence, what do you influence? Just people, followers, just turn on your phone. And so, even like we said, we learned that other P in the pandemic was the power of the pivot, right? And
Mhm.
people were birthing more businesses and doing all kind of things. And I was like, oh, that was real creative. But we just realized the power of social media and how it plays an important role even in our lives today about, like you said, the algorithms, the connections. And even though you may not be on social media and not posting everything, but you have to have a presence because there are so many opportunities that are on social media and in networks and in technology that is helping you get different opportunities and stuff like that. So I think that's so important in everything.
Yes.
Any other thoughts and any other strategies that we've talked about? Oh, we talked about a lot. We talked about your mindset, seizing opportunities, thinking like a CEO, staying ready so you don't have to get ready. Make sure you're updating your resume. Looking forward to those volunteer opportunities. What happens when you get in that rabbit hole? Maybe say, hey, figure out what you can influence and look at that as an opportunity that says, hey, this is not the end all be all. This
Mhm.
is where I am today, but I also am working on my next. I'm working on that new skill so I can be able to apply that somewhere else and stuff like that. Anything else, y'all, that we want to talk about or want to suggest and strategies?
I mean, I don't, I'll just quickly say, I
Mhm,
don't really have more 100% to add because I feel as though we've covered
mhm,
everything. But for those who are listening, there may be pockets of this information that you might feel like you're not certain of, etc. And it's always up to you in the end. It's
mhm,
always going to start with you. It's always going to end with you as far as what your choices are. And so I just want to stress it's not anyone else, it's you. And even though there may be influences, I know Dr. Joy, you mentioned there are influencers and things like that out there, but it's very, very important not to compare your journey
mhm.
to anyone else's. That's on LinkedIn as well, because
Right.
I've seen the posts. They're like, look at this miracle that happened to me. And somebody else may be sitting there saying, where is my miracle? So
Mhm.
you just have to, again, stay ready. Don't compare. Focus on yourself and know that you have all of the wherewithal to tackle any situation. So those are just my little extra thoughts.
Oh no, I love that.
I
And I
love
think you
that.
said point because we know that in social media, so we're gonna talk about that we know that we post a glorified side of life. Because yes, we the happiness side. But again, as we are really again trying to navigate this, you can utilize social media as your network by staying connected. So yes. And so all the strategies that we've talked about, as we talked about the before, it's your mindset. It's
Hmm.
what it's having that mindset. Because again, your thoughts are important. And it's what you say in your mind. It's what you tell yourself. It's what you think of this situation. If you go into it, oh my God, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. That self-fulfilling prophecy that we learned a long time ago at school. I do believe that. It's power in what you say. It's power in what you think, because that manifests in your behaviors. But if you look at it, it says, okay, change is all around, but I don't have to act like I am losing my wits in this. And I'm going to thrive, and I'm going to do the things. I'm going to be positive. When change comes, I'm going to say, okay, how can I navigate this? I'm going to make sure I'm connected with people, which is important. I know I have skill sets, right? That's that I know I have skill sets. I know I have value. In spite of what the narrative is, I have value. I have demonstrated value of all these years that I've served in this role. And I'm going to continue to do the best, and I'm going to continue to show up as me. So those are the things that I think. And then I'm going to continue, as we talked about, networking and volunteering and connecting with people, and, doing professional networking and opportunities and joining organizations, because all of this is going to help you create a different opportunity. So you have everything in you. You have all the tools. You just got to activate, as we say.
Absolutely. I think one last thing for me,
Oh,
because we talked about a lot and multiple great strategies. And some people sometimes you'd be like, that's a lot, right? It's overwhelming. I have to do all 20 of these things. You don't. It's you can have small wins. Like you really can be like, okay, this is what I'm going to tackle. I am going to join this organization and I'm going to go to the meetings and I'm going to connect with some new people. That can be your one for the month, the quarter, whatever it is. Like, so I don't want folks to feel like, oh, I have to do all of this right now, because it's a lot going on
It's a lot.
personally and professionally for a lot of people. So just pick one to focus on. And then once you get that under the belt, move on to the next one. The same thing, move on to the next one. So bite-sized chunks is kind of the way to go. So we have a lot on our plates and bills have to get paid, so one bite at a time.
We do. I love that. Like you said, bite size. Like I said, it's a lot. Just pick one thing. Focus on one thing. As we know, we are in the 12th month of the last month of 2025. We are having a whole new year. So think about, as you're ending your 2025, what do you envision for your 2026? And come up with your own personal milestones and strategies that you're going to commit to, and how you can continue to thrive through the change. And that's so important. We want you to what? Stay woke. Let me, I told you I got a little stay woke. We want you to stay woke now. Want you to stay woke. We want you to thrive through the change. Again, we are definitely here to have more sessions about table talk. And so we thank our dynamic panelists for joining us tonight. Well, we dive right in to give you practical strategies. Again, if you want to reach out to us, please email us at info@functionaltrainingzone.net. We are here for you, and we look forward to you joining another session of Table Talk. Thank you so much.